Yeah, now stand and cheer for your Talking Basketball podcast.
Hello, welcome to another edition of Talking Basketball podcast. I am Mark.
I am Paul and I'm live.
You are live.
Yes, I'm live because people don't believe me. I do that. And now live every show.
Yeah, you do it every show.
Yeah. Well, I think some people think it's pre-recorded, but it's not. I do it live. I do
If
that
you're
every
listening
show.
and you don't believe him, then you can just go and jump in Canoe Lake. And if you don't know
Wow.
what that is a very prestigious lake in the Portsmouth area.
It's like Lake Garda, really, isn't it?
It's practically the same, except they have beautiful, like 1930s cigarette boats, and we have pedalos that are shaped like swans.
Yeah, but I got to say a huge thank you to our listeners. We're up to 58.2 thousand in the last 30 days, Mark.
Well, you say it's 58.2 thousand, but
Oh, has it changed?
you would be mistaken. It is now 60.
Oh, is it? Let's see. Bong. Holy sugar plum fairies.
Holy cack on a cracker.
60,000.
That's the one.
Bloody hell. You got to thank Colin Irish for that.
Thank you, Colin.
That is Colin Irish numbers, that is.
That is Colin Irish numbers.
Wow.
Colin, we love you. Awesome interview with Colin. If you haven't listened to it yet, you've got to strap in for that one. That's a great one.
Yeah, and the other thing that I don't know the order of the episodes, but one thing I would say is what people don't realise when we do these interviews, we'll have a general chit chat with people before and afterwards. And it's one of those things we found that when you're talking about basketball, people just want to talk and talk and talk. And Colin was like no exception at all. Like we spoke to him, he gave us 45 minutes, just general talking, catching up before the interview. Then we did the interview, which was what, 2 hours, 45 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
And then we spoke for like another 45 minutes after the show about basketball. I mean, like, I think he started at like in like Cleveland time, like 11 o'clock, just before lunchtime. And it was like 4:30 when he was he's like, oh, I've missed lunch. It's tea time.
Yeah. It was past 3:30 and he was like, wow, it's almost 4 o'clock. Where did the day go?
He gave us a lot of time, but a lot of people do that. And I think it's just highlights.
It's lovely to
talk, isn't it?
That people give us the time, and we're ever grateful to people listening like yourselves, as well as people who come on the show. But also, I think it always cements the fact that if people really love something and they really enjoy it, and we're talking about basketball obviously here, but it could be anything, whatever hobbies people are into other than badminton, they could just go on about it. You know, you get them on that topic and they just want to talk about it.
Yeah. And this week we have got Pat Riots.
This week we have got Pat Riots, and Paul surprised me. I had no idea.
Secret guest.
I had no idea his interview.
So Pat Riots is the mascot for the Plymouth City Patriots. But well, he's the retired. Chris is the retired Pat Riots from like last year. Well, he did the first game this season, then but he's done it for 20 odd years, 27 years.
27 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Foxy as well.
I was thinking, like, towards the end, you got to be thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm touching 40 and I am.
That'd be brilliant. That'd be brilliant. I always look at mascots and go, that is the coolest job ever. Imagine getting paid to do that. It'd be amazing.
There's a couple of interesting stories off air. There's some really good ones on there. So go check that one out.
It was one of those interviews that just made me laugh all the way through. And then coming up next week, we are back with the Portsmouth FC Basketball Club.
We are.
With Steve Nelson. Oh, that's going to be a good one.
That will be.
The legend known as Steve Nelson. Right, sorry, Mark, I'm taking over your show.
We're not taking over my show. It's our show.
Oh.
It's a joint, baby.
60,000. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Right. Here you go.
Let's get on with the BBL. We're going to start with the British Basketball League. It took a bit of a week off, Paul. Did you notice it took like 10 days off or so?
I know, it's lovely.
Do you know why that was?
So I can get a week off?
Well, we never took a bit off, but you did. No, the BBL took a rest. If you didn't know, if you were just suddenly wondering why we didn't have a BBL update.
Did you say rest or breast?
Well, you can have a bit of both on both, can't you? But the BBL actually takes a week off because they had the Euro and they were doing the qualifying game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that was up in the Eagles' Nest, wasn't it? Up in Newcastle. And GB had a good game up there.
That was a great game. That was against Holland, was it?
Yeah, it was the Dutch.
Yeah, Netherlands.
2-point win, wasn't it?
Yeah. And that was
really good team.
great comeback.
Really good team game. If you haven't watched it, go watch something like. Actually, watch the whole thing. I think it's actually on YouTube.
But then they took on, who was next? Was it Croatia or Czechoslovakia? Something like that.
I really want to say it's Croatia. Yeah.
But then like the quality of Europe and how to qualify in Europe just kind of shone a little bit. And
do you know what I'm going to say on that as well? In the BBL, you've got a mixture of lots of different nationalities, just like you have in football leagues and so forth. Like when these guys are playing and they're playing nationally, the one thing it exposes very quickly is there's a lot of the British players that were playing in different divisions. So they don't necessarily all play together or play with the BBL or have that familiarity. Whereas some of the other teams, like teams in Italy, teams in Croatia, a lot of them play in the same domestics leagues, so they have a kind of idea about playing with each other.
It makes more sense.
And also, if you think you're going to play in a different country, it's just a different style of basketball. Whereas if you're playing natively and you play at home, it's a very simple. So you've all got that similar sort of style. I know you've heard about it with some of the Masters stuff coming up. That there's certain teams and certain countries that all play together and they're very gelled because it's part of their national thing and they do it all together. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so because of that, they suspend play for like a week effectively.
Oh, it was lovely, Mark, having a week off.
Duties.
Lovely.
Was it?
So who's up then? When it came back, who's up?
Well, the first team up, and I don't know why I've done this because I'm looking at my notes board now,
is
Sheffield Sharks versus Plymouth Patriots.
Oh, that's a good one to start on, seeing who we were talking about. Pat Riots.
Wow, it was a good one. So I'm literally looking at my board, and unfortunately, I've done this. Look at the colours that they come up. Look how bright that is.
Wow.
I can hardly see it. Oh, that's not just It was an away game, so it wasn't really that much of a surprise that Sheffield were going to take that. And Plymouth are
in the Shark Tank.
Plymouth are struggling at the bottom. If you're going to...
I reckon I could give every ground in the BBL a good name. Sheffield is a good one. Sheffield Sharks, Shark Tank.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised it's not already called that, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but Shark Tank. Anyway, sorry, mate. Come on.
No.
I'm interrupting you.
No, not at all. 97-6. I mean, it's a dominant victory, isn't it? You're not even going to muck around with that. You cannot muck around with that if you're going over 30 points on a victory.
I don't want to talk about it anymore, Mark. After talking to Pat Riots, I don't want to focus on that loss anymore. Let's just move on.
But all I'm going to say is this. That loss is, I won't say it's a tale of two halves of basketball, but it's 45-33 at the half. And when you look at it that way and you think, well, that's only a 12-point deficit, and then they ended and it's almost a 30-point. So it wasn't that it wasn't just like a blowout. It's just they stretched the lead and then they stretched it again the same amount. I think this showed that Sheffield have got a really good team, and that's what I would say. That at their bones, Sheffield could actually be a really good team going forward. But this year, no. They're all they're doing now is, I think, I actually wrote an actual note here, and it was that I think it was the turnovers that were significant for Plymouth. And Malik Green, though, was definitely the contributing player, because player of the game, no question, 20 points, 8 rebounds. That's where I'm going with it. But it does show you that the Sharks have got a really good offense, and they can, they could easily tie it in with some of the other teams. Mid-table, I would say, at this point. Strategically great, but also Plymouth just got a lot of holes in their team at the moment, and lots of things there that they could improve on defensively, not just offensively. So that was really the main highlight of this game, that I think Sheffield showed they're not just like a bottom, they're like a 7th or an 8th team. They actually probably could be 4th, 5th. They could play up to that sort of number. But enough of that game. Let's move on to the Giants versus the Gladiators.
Can I say I had a complaint?
Oh.
About the podcast. That horn sometimes is too loud to some listeners.
Really?
Yeah. The volume is sometimes too loud. But you push it down, so let's hope that will appease them.
Yeah. And if not, never mind. It only goes on for a second.
Yeah, it is a bit loud sometimes. Well, it is. It's like, oh, that's loud.
I really want to just blast that down. Don't you? I want to just pop that.
No,
blast it.
Right. So yeah, am I talking about this one?
Why not?
Well, we got the Manchester Giants taking on the Caledonia Gladiators, Mark.
Yep.
And it was
important game, I think.
Oh yeah, why is that?
Because Gladiators have, I'm not say struggled a little bit with a couple of their recent games, so it's kind of important for them to. We're getting towards the end of the season now, and when we're getting towards the end of the season, playoffs are coming.
Well, I'm trying to look at the league table at the moment, but the internet in here is appalling.
That's funny because you don't use the internet in here. You use your phone because you're not connected to my Wi-Fi.
It's all the asbestos in here or something like that.
Yeah. No, that helps. The asbestos helps.
Right.
If you drink some lead at the same time, it really helps.
Well, everyone's going for these playoff pushes at the moment, aren't they? So, it's a significant victory for the Gladiators. I mean, look, they won 106-87, but they're starting to get a bit of momentum for a playoff push. I mean, obviously they're going to be in there in those playoffs. You got to talk about Quade Green shining for the Gladiators, 27 points. I ran out of air. He scored 27 points. And
that was terrible.
Though he had some turnovers, he is just constantly demonstrating his all-round ability. But a great effort by the Gladiators. Sorry, a team effort by the Gladiators. Multiple players contributing significantly. Clifton Moore, obviously. Mike Bothwell as well. Quade Green, he's a new addition for the Gladiators, but he got an impressive 26 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, Mark. And that's a key performance. But look, if your office stopped my phone from working, I might be able to see the table. But look, the Gladiators are making that push, trying to get as good of a playoff spot as they can. And look, they get the win.
But they've got, at the moment, the Gladiators have got DeBose out, and he's one of their strong players. So even you've got Patrick Whelan, got some of the other guys up there, but because he's out, there's Quade Green coming, and he's only been in there. I think he signed 3-4 weeks ago, maybe, if that. Cool.
I know you like free throws, Mark. Caledonia, 86%, 13-15 from the free throw line.
Yeah, nothing to be sniffed at there. Nothing to be sniffed at.
And 43 rebounds. And I always think of Pat Riley. Rebounds win championships. That was his words.
Pat Riley and Pat Riots.
Did I say Pat Riots?
No,
I said
joking.
Pat Riley. Yeah. Right, there you go. There's that one. Who's next?
Who is next? On the Rolodex of life that we'd like to call the Riders versus the Cheshire Phoenix.
Oh, it's biggie, wasn't it? Biggie.
Very big. But not just because of the positioning. I think my gut was that they were coming into this looking at what happened in the trophy. Because obviously they played in the trophy and then obviously went through, and then London and Cheshire were playing in the final. But the Riders, I think, had a score to settle with this one. And they proved the point. The Riders took the win, 101-93.
And that's the first loss for Cheshire.
Yes.
They had 10 in a row, so that's their first loss.
Yeah. And not only that, they were second. They were second in the league.
I think they've clinched second.
But they were second in the league, and there was a potential that they could have got enough points because they were enough games behind London. But they got a loss, which means no one could catch London. There's no possibility of anyone catching London.
Oh, God, Mark. Why didn't we start with London Lions winning the championship?
Because that is it. This game was it. This game cemented it.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because
I see what you're saying. We should have started with that.
As soon as Cheshire hit that was, as soon as they lost that game.
We should have started with that.
We got built up to it.
You should have started it. Look, I want to give a huge shout out to the London Lions for clinching the championship. We should have started with that.
But they didn't officially claim it until their next game.
We need to do a London Lions championship episode.
We will.
There you go. That will hopefully make up for that.
But that's one of the reasons that this game was quite important, is that if Cheshire had won that game, they still would have kept enough of a difference, because there was a very, very big margin. When looking at the actual league, you can see the margins were sort of big enough.
You've got to talk about the technical foul, the ejections in the third quarter.
Yeah, Cheshire weren't happy with that. But, well, I don't think they were. Why would they be?
But Leicester, two players chucked out.
Didn't capitalise. You get two people ejected, and you've got that much feistiness in the game. You'd have thought, okay, we can capitalise here. We can make a hard run at them. This was in the third quarter, was it? They got ejected.
Third quarter, oh yeah, like silly techs and fouls.
Yeah,
we were talking about it the other day.
But if they're getting ejected, then you got a whole fourth quarter, and we know that fourth quarter games. I mean, we've seen. Is it the Lions and Surrey? They're both sort of teams that have those really weird swings in games. And the fourth quarter is always that one that makes the big difference. Sure enough, you think the Cheshire Phoenix, they won that trophy. They've got the strength. They got the depth of the team. But Leicester actually won that one. That was not one that Cheshire lost. That was one that Leicester won. And I think when it comes to basketball, sometimes people have to, I want to say, differentiate. Is it one team won it or one team lost it?
No, you got to talk about Leicester having the ability to maintain a performance, a level, despite losing key players due to the disqualifications, which underscored their depth, really.
Yeah, but two people getting ejected is quite funny, isn't it? You got to think of it that way. Both people just going out, off you go. But yeah, I mean,
17 turnovers for Cheshire.
Yeah, wasn't their finest hour, wasn't their finest game. But
and you're not going to like it. 64% from the free throw line. I only look at that because I know you always focus on free throws. 64% from the free throw line, but Leicester was 66%.
But you know who went out
again. Look, Leicester Riders, 30 shots from the free throw line. I think I said this in the last episode. They are the highest ranked team for getting to the free throw line and third highest for converting that.
Yep.
But they had 20 out of 30 free throws.
Well, I mean, Teddy Allen and Kimball McKenzie were the two players who got ejected.
Time will see. Time will see. Are we moving on? Right, we're going to talk about the Bristol Flyers taking on Surrey Scorchers.
Yes.
And, you know, Surrey secure the season sweep over the Bristol Flyers. They played each other 4 times in the season, and the Scorchers have got 4 victories with this final win.
That's got to be a good feeling, actually, if you get a complete sweep of the team.
Bogey team. I'd love the Bristol logo. It really grows on me, that does. Really grows on me. I like the Flyers. Yeah, I love it. But you got to talk about Mohammed doing an all-round game with a double-double, 11 points, 11 rebounds, 3 steals, Mark. 4 blocks. And Jameson dominated it with a double-double as well, contributing to the Surrey victory.
Yeah.
But look, this is only a 6-point win. And you got to talk about that moment, like critical turnovers. Bristol in the final moments just kind of hindered their like comeback efforts, really, is what you got to talk about.
But look, Brad Green was really solid for them. And once you could argue that they were sort of pinning it all round him, but then you got Sakan Jameson. I won't say a shame, but it's great news for the Scorchers.
Yeah, because they're now 7th. Are they 7th in the table?
They are.
They're propelled to 7th position.
Well, that was the nice thing, because this was a 7th and 8th sort of matchup.
It's enhancing their playoff perspective. I mean, everyone's got to be looking at that spot or around there going, we don't want to play the Lions.
No.
First round.
Exactly.
But, both teams showed a lot of resilience, executing key plays and, continuing the defensive pressure. But yeah, Surrey pull it out of the bag and they're in 7th spot.
Absolutely. And if we go on to the next game, it ties up what we were just saying earlier. It's a foregone conclusion, but London Lions were playing Leicester Riders. And they won. And that basically concluded they have won it because no one can touch them now. No possibility whatsoever.
And can I highlight this? This is really interesting. So Leicester Riders, they go to the line 28 times. 28 shots from the free throw line they go to. Without looking at the stats, don't look at the stats. How many times did the London Lions go to the line? Leicester, 28. Don't forget, I've just told you they're the highest team from what I remember going to the line.
About getting to the line. I'm going to half it, 14.
7.
Really?
Lions only went to the line for 7 shots, and they scored 5 out of those 7. Yeah, weird, isn't it? That one really stands out to me.
Yeah, you'd be... Look, okay. So
that's in London as well.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I know it's in the copper box. So here's my question to you. If you're the coach there, if you're coaching London Lions, you're at home, and they're going to the line 4 times more than you are.
Yeah, it's 4 times more. Yeah.
Are you raising a flag on that? Because you're winning.
You'd be at, one's going to be at 3 or 7.
It was 105.89. That was the score that they ended on.
I'd still be...
I
haven't got fouls on my stats that I'm looking at here, but that's one of the ones I'd be focusing on. What the fouls?
Yeah, I would be asking questions of that because it just doesn't seem right at all. And Sam Decker actually made an appearance there, who I want to say it's quite controversial, but he made an appearance in one of the final games for the Lions. He's been off for a while with some injuries, but he was notably. Is the word controversial? But it's something we'll come on to in a moment.
Can I just say though, look, this is I'm going to say this bothers me actually, because if I've just worked this out very quickly in my head,
maths.
The Lions scored 86 points.
Yes.
With free throws or inside. So I'm not including 3-pointers, I'm not including free throws. And they went to the line for 7 free throws?
Mm.
I really want to see how many fouls got called against the Leicester Riders. It just doesn't look right. I don't know. I didn't watch this game, so I don't know. But that stands out straight away. That someone scores 86 points, and
I don't know if the fouls were put on the stats on there. Are they?
I don't know. Just looks a bit odd to me.
Yeah, look, Leicester are a strong team, and they are away at the Copper Box, which is going to be a challenging arena as a start. It's a foregone conclusion that Lions sort of going to win it anyway, but it just happens.
Good name for a band, Foregone Conclusion.
Foregone conclusion.
Look, this is for the London Lions. Some Irish crickets. Why are you doing that one? I was doing proper Irish crickets.
Wow,
That's for them.
How do you know that cricket's not Irish? So, because of that result, it lines us up at the end of the week with Cheshire Phoenix playing the Sheffield Sharks. And Cheshire go back and redeem themselves with 93-78. Pretty much what you would expect if you looked at the table, because one team's second, one team's 6th. You would expect Cheshire to be walking that one. Not quite with that stretch of that win, should we say. I actually thought that this was the one actually I watched. I thought Aaron Ray, again, I think he's probably one of their strongest players, because you've got LeQuincy, but Aaron Ray is just something else. He's so strong in that team.
Yeah, I love him. I think he's a great player. And he's got to be a little disappointed because with one more rebound, he'd have got a double-double. He had 18 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists.
Yeah, that is...
Fuck!
That is... Yeah, you'd hate that, wouldn't you? Just one off there. And Sheffield actually tried closing the gap. They were actually putting their foot down towards the end of it. But I think that's where you suddenly see the difference in, we've seen it with the NBA. You see it with...
They want to be runners up. They want to make sure
they want them, and so they're really trying to push through. But Cheshire just went nope and just put their foot down a bit and just made sure it almost they got this momentum in the game. And if you watch it, you sort of think, oh, are they going to catch up? And then it was almost like Cheshire just went no. They just slapped it back down again, and they just kept that gap.
I really like the Sheffield Sharks grey kit. I really like that. We should have an episode on kits.
Yeah.
That'd be a really good one.
I would like to see if they're going to do it like a third kit, because you see the 2 kits all the time, but I've never seen a third kit.
I don't know, but I think that'd be a really good episode on kits.
Yeah.
So, right.
So
We're done. We're shooting off.
But the main thing was that player of the game was Aaron. And it's no surprise because of where he was that. But I think Cheshire are really, they're in second position. When you look at the table now, and that's what I wanted to end on with the BBL. You've got Lions at the top. They've played 31 games and they've won 28 of them. Yeah? So how many games have Cheshire played? Lions have played 30 games.
Right at the end of the season now for them. 27, 6, 7?
Yeah. So
they're like 5 behind, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that has been... some people have complained about it, but a lot of people have raised it, is the way in which that lots of the teams have got 27, 28 sort of games. They're at that. But for some reason, the Lions have played another 3 games. So even if, regardless of whether they're the best team or not, they're always going to be at the top of the table because they'll always have more points because they've played more games. So there's a psychologically, because they've played 4 or 5 more games, if they've won them all, even if the person has won all their games, the team behind, because they're 5 games behind.
It's better to have the points in the bag.
Yeah, exactly. But psychologically, they would be like, well, they're still above us. It's like, yeah, they've got 5 games in hand. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Psychologically, they're still on the top.
But they've only lost what? 3?
Yeah.
3, 4? I can't remember now.
3 losses.
3 losses. Well, I predicted in week 11 they'll finish with, I think I said 4.
You said 4 or 5, yeah. But I mean,
let's see. Oh, that was my knee. Did you hear that?
Yeah, that was old man knee. That was. So we've got London Lions, Cheshire Phoenix, Caledonia. Now the Cheshire Phoenix, that second win, or rather that win that they got after the Leicester loss, means that they stay ahead of Caledonia. Caledonia have played 1 more game, but they've also lost 2. And that was one of the reasons that Cheshire game was so important after that Cheshire had that big long run. So Leicester Riders are now in 4th position. Newcastle Eagles up in the Eagles' nest, sitting pretty in the 5th position. That's probably a comfortable place to be for the playoffs. Sheffield Sharks 6th, Scorchers 7th, Bristol Flyers 8th, Manchester 9th, and Plymouth bringing up the rear in number 10.
Right.
So,
can I go home now?
No, you can't go home now.
Sorry, Mark, what do you want to talk about? Let's move on to the NBA.
No, one more thing to say about the BBL. What? The All-Star game.
Oh, yeah.
So it was only a comment that people had made.
Oh, God, we haven't even announced the teams, have we?
No.
They've announced them.
No. Oh, they have announced the teams, yeah.
We should do that.
Well, we can do, but there's one important thing, and that's what I wanted to just bring it back to. What people have been talking about this week is Sam Decker came back to the London Lions. He's been off quite a lot of the season.
Yeah.
However, he was nominated to be starting 5 in the All-Star game, and then miraculously plays in the game this week, and he's been off injured. Now, I'm not criticising if someone's injured or if they're not or whatever it is, but if someone is off injured, why are they getting nominated to play in the All-Star game?
I would say if it was LeBron, everyone go, yeah, he's in the All-Star game. He's injured. He's coming back for it.
Look, Sam Decker is one of their best players.
Exactly.
He's played in the NBA.
Exactly.
But how do you get nominated to be in that if you are off injured? That's what a lot of people are being like, well, why is his name in the ring? Because he's off injured, isn't he? How do you know he's going to play? And that's the topic that people are bringing up. Like, you can't.
Is there a reserves? Because there's only 10, isn't there? There's a reserves list.
Yes, there is a reserves list. I'll show you the pictures up. But what do you think of that? Like, should someone be allowed to be voted for if they're off injured?
I think they should have played a certain number of games to be nominated. That's what I think.
Which is what they do in the NBA.
So because I think should be to be in the All-Star game. I don't know, at least half the games. Would you say 20 games? Sorry, like 18 games.
Yeah. Well, famously, the reason I'm saying about this, and the reason, I think it's been brought up by people, is because Joel Embiid at the moment is probably not going to be in the MVP race anymore because he's had a knee injury. And the reason is because you have to have a minimum of 65 games played during a season, and he's now just going over that.
I'm going to throw something in that mix if you want.
Do it.
When you talk about MVP, is an American going to win the MVP? When's the next time an American's going to win the MVP?
Well, yeah, that could be it. So I'm just showing you now the rotors. So these are the rosters for North, and if you slide it up, that's South.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we should do a show on the All-Star game.
Yeah, we will do.
Let's do a show on the All-Star game.
We will do it. But if you just have a look at some of those names.
Yeah.
Just have a look at them. You don't have to call them out. If people are watching it, they'll know who they are.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you notice that when you look at the South team, you look at Sam Decker, then you look at some of the players who are in reserves, you go, it's nothing against Sam. Never met the guy, and he's a great player. Question, but he's been off injured. Why was he allowed to be voted for to play in the All-Star game? Because he was off injured.
Wow. 3 Leicester Rider players get in.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got some strong players. And look at the North and look at some of the players who are like in reserves. Like
4 Eagles get in there.
Have you seen some of the reserves? Because all the stars are the ones who are the startings. So stars are starting and the ones on below are the reserves.
Well, not reserves, but it's a squad of 10, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but starters
yeah. Well, look, you got to give a shout out to Larry Austin Jr. and Teddy Allen, captain in the North and South. Yeah. Let's do a show just on the All-Star game. That's what I reckon. But that's what I would. That's a really good question. When is the next time an American is going to win MVP? Look at it. Giannis, Jokic, Luka. When you look at it like that.
Are you talking the league MVP or the finals MVP?
League MVP.
Yeah, that's probably a good point. I don't know, actually. I've no idea.
There you go. Right. Moving on to the NBA.
Do it.
You can't go any further without congratulating the man, LeBron James. 40K. 40,000 points. No player has done it before. Not even the legend Michael Jordan can say he scored 40,000 points. He'll be coming back soon if we keep saying it. People keep saying it. You gotta now wonder, how far can he go?
I reckon he's got a couple of years in him.
I mean, could he get to 41? 42?
Yeah, of course he could.
Depends how long he plays for. Depends on injury. But the stat I love is 40K points, 10K in assists, 10K in rebounds. I just, you whether you are a LeBron fan or not, you cannot not appreciate the achievement and what he's done.
Oh, God, no, absolutely not. No. But when you got, they were doing ones where they were comparing people who were in year 21. And it was Vince, Dirk, and LeBron, basically.
If you look at the I want to say like the trajectory of points scored, it kind of just slowly like degrades over the years.
Oh, yeah, it's degradation.
But,
Robert Parrish famously played, in his 21st season, he played 43 games. Can't sniff at that. 3.7 points a game.
How old is the oldest NBA player? I think it's like really old. Like, I don't mean really old. I think it was like back in like the 40s or something. And it was like someone who was like 46. Because I remember seeing a picture and they got knee pads on. So we're going back to the 40s, right? Or no, maybe even the 50s.
50s, 60s, I imagine.
Maybe that's the record LeBron wants to get, oldest player. But you know, you cannot admire that achievement.
Oh,
And I think we're so due to do a LeBron episode with these achievements he's hitting, but it's almost like, do you want to do it at the end of his career?
yeah. I mean, the NBA single game records for players in their 21st season. Just to put that in context, the single game records for players in their 21st season for points, it's 37 points. LeBron James, November last year, 2023. Rebounds, 15. LeBron James against the Kings in October last year. Assists, 12. LeBron James. So basically, he's got every single game record stat for someone who's playing in their 21st year. Minutes, Vince Carter, 45 minutes against the Bulls.
There you go.
And in 2019 to Vince.
He's going for that.
The only other one is Kevin Garnett with blocks. But he's absolutely unstoppable, and he spends so much money on his body, looks after himself. And when you
Longevity.
when you see him get down the court, he's
the blueprint, isn't he?
Yeah, he is now this is what, if you want a player who's athletic, has basketball acumen, and stays in shape, that's what you got to do. But I'd imagine he sacrifices quite a lot to be able to stay in that sort of shape, because he's a big guy. Like, people forget, but people forget sometimes that he is 6'9", muscly, and he's run up and down that court dunking it and stuff. I mean, there was a clip of Vince Carter doing a dunk the other day, and he had a suit on.
Yeah, trainers.
Yeah, and Vince got up there, but if you
He looked
see
casual. He looked casual.
he looked casual, but at the same time you go, we've also seen Vince jump over a 7-foot dude, like clean over his head at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Like, you do lose stuff over time. There's no way around that. You can't beat that.
LeBron's just like living in ice, I reckon. He's got ice. He must have ice everywhere.
But it's like diet and everything as well. Like, you could be doing that. But we see a lot of the basketball players, once they call time out, they enjoy life a little bit and let that go, which you would, because you're not training every single day.
He's a freak, really, isn't he? He's like a freak of nature.
Well,
Like, he's 40 and he's getting up that high. No, he's not 40. He's 30. Yeah. 38.
But when he went to Miami, if you remember, I mean, we're going to do a whole LeBron thing, like you said, but when he went to Miami, he bulked up to the point of being too big. And then he's actually leaned down when he's been at the Lakers. He's actually come back there. But, I mean,
great achievement.
Achievement. Do you reckon anyone has played with LeBron in the 2K games since LeBron and had the same player profile and scored more than 40,000 points on 2K?
I don't know. Have you?
I'm spanner fingers.
Imagine if the podcast got sponsored by like NBA 2K or NBA. What was the other one?
That's NBA 2K.
No, there's two games, isn't there?
Wait, you're talking about NBA Live?
NBA Live, is that still around?
That's been mothballed as far as I remember.
Oh well, that'd be amazing.
Anyway, yeah, it's all anyway. The whole thing is, I just wondered if that was the case. Because if he's doing 24 points a game in his career, I wonder if someone else has averaged 24 points.
No one's playing that for 20 seasons, are they? No one's playing that for 20 seasons. I want to know.
If someone's a gamer out there, you've got to find out.
For 20 seasons. Right, I've got another one. And
do it.
I feel a bit harsh doing this, but it was a great NBA moment. Well, I feel a bit guilty playing this, Mark. But we got to talk about arguably the greatest national anthem ever sung. Bless her little heart. You know what? Fergie has probably been giving her pointers going, go on. She's making
I
me
mean,
joke?
you're going to hell for that.
Oh, dear.
You're going to hell for shaming the child. Bless her.
Oh, dear.
But do
No,
you know what?
look, she's 8 years old and she's singing in front of what, 20, 30,000 people. Look, it's like, well done for you doing that. I think she's sung a few places, hasn't she?
I don't know. All I know is whoever's said, go do that.
Someone you never know. She might be nervous. She might be a bit under the weather. You know, I don't know.
Just anthems on its own. Across sports, I think it's really difficult to get an anthem right. I think there's a lot of times if people sing an anthem or perform an anthem, a lot of them go horribly wrong.
In America, most of them go all right, though, don't they?
Yeah,
it's like they
because
put their own spin on it.
Yeah, because a lot of them can be samey, and you go, I always think if you go to something like a rugby game on their sing and everyone in the crowd singing it, you go, that's one that gives you the goosebumps. That's a kind of a nice thing or something. But
the Americans got a good national anthem. Like they get to a certain point and everyone's like, yeah, yeah. Like during the national anthem, we can't do that. We're like, God save our gracious King. We can't at that point go, yeah.
I always like the
go King, kick his ass. Come on.
Oh Canada, oh Canada. That one. I quite like that one.
But yeah, we cheer ours, can we? Because there's no good pause moments.
No, but also we don't play an anthem at events. Really, we don't really do it in the same way. Every single event there would.
Oh yeah, every day. Like yeah, I mean,
do it at school, don't
they? I would say the British, we have got anthems that would be very similar to the American anthem. When you say things like, you go to any rugby game, Jerusalem.
Rule Britannia.
The other one, Land of Hope and Glory.
Yep.
Imagine something, Land of Hope and Glory. Yeah!
Or Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, whatever that one is.
That's oh no.
I can't remember.
That's the Jerusalem one, isn't it?
Is it?
I can't remember. It's the rugby one, but yeah, London. Anyway, but bless her little heart. She tried.
Yeah. A for effort, no question there.
A for effort.
Execution, maybe I would have said.
You're out of order. A for effort. U for execution.
No, not U for execution. Just I'd have turned the monitors down just that little bit.
That'd be a good game to play. Listen to this and don't laugh. Oh dear.
Tough.
Right. Next.
NBA. The Bucks at the moment are on their third coach.
Who they got, Mark?
Doc Rivers.
Nice.
But the reason I want to bring him up is they were 3 for 7, and then the stats keep changing, etc., etc. But 3 for 7 with the new coach coming in, and they were automatically saying we got to get the coach out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you think, well, hang on a minute. Rivers came in because they all decided that they wanted to get the other coach out, and he was only in because they decided they wanted the other one out before. You think they've gone through 3 coaches in a really short period. He's the third coach in a really short period of time. And I know that they've got in Dame, and Lillard's doing a great thing, and they're trying to get him doing not just Dame time, but to really add more scoring into the pot. They missed Drew Holiday a little bit, blah, blah, blah. But can you just put that on a coach? Like, can you do that? And then the fact that they're saying, oh, maybe we should get Doc out. Doc's there going, hang on a minute. I've only just got here. I'm 10 games in. I'm 3 and 7. So, we've also just got we've got a superstar come in who's now trying to fit with a new superstar. Lillard's had Portland to himself for like a decade. Now he's having to play in a group with Giannis, and he's having to learn where's my position. And you see some of the no one's going to question that Lillard isn't a great player, and Giannis, they're both great players, but they've got to learn to play together. They're not going to do that in such a short. And to be on the third coach and then say, "Oh, it's the coach's fault." I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I just want to bring it up because everyone's talking about it and pointing at Doc, and you think even his old players that have played for him, like JJ Redick, famously was calling him out, saying Doc blames everyone, he doesn't take accountability and stuff, and you think it's a bit harsh.
I mean, you don't know what's going on in the in the camp, do you? But I do know with like not just in basketball and just general sport, there's so much pressure. A new coach comes in and they're under pressure, like, right, results need to turn around immediately. So I think 7 games is harsh, but it's the same thing in football in the UK. New manager will come in, you lose 3 in a row. They're probably going to change things up and say it's not working out.
So he's 8-7, and they were when he was 3-7. Bear in mind that was 3-7 for people who don't follow the NBA and only sort of just BBL or Euro. You can go through 8 or 9 games in just under 3 weeks. You could be going through 8 or 9 games. So someone's not even landed there a month, and you're going, no, they're not good enough. Now they're 8-7, and it's like, so actually our record's improved now. But you were all saying to get him out, and they're still like, wow, we're still not sure. And you think,
harsh.
He's only coming halfway through.
You need to give him a bit of time.
He's come through halfway through a season. And the best bit is they're still paying the other 2 coaches because they had other contracts. So they had one and his pays out at the end of this year. Then the other one was a 1-year contract. He got halfway through and they went, no, you're out, mate. And they just binned him.
How much do they pay for coaches? I am well up for going there. I will be coach for 3 weeks and leave for £10 million. I'm well up for that.
Well,
we can bring that back and start a BBL franchise.
You know that the average is like 4 or 5 million a year or something like that for their head coaches. But this year, I think Steve Kerr just signed his. It was like 17 million a year or something like that for Golden State. I think it was. I'm literally trying to put it up as I speak. But the second one was or is Monty Williams. He signed one of the biggest ones at Detroit. And they're, a big pile of steaming. But yeah, there we go. Steve Kerr, 35 million.
Wow. What Detroit on now? Because they were like the lowest of all time, wasn't it?
Monty Williams, 13 million a year. He's
the longest losing streak. Is it still? It can't still be going because I saw they had like 8 or 9 wins now. So when did the streak finish? I'm assuming it was quite quick after the 26.
It was about 2 weeks ago, I think, they finished it, and then they lost. They won one and then lost one, then won one and lost one. I think it is. I literally just get the stats up, but
because they're joint bottom now.
Yeah,
they're not.
Well, at
bottom.
No, because at the moment it's them and Wizards. And what's funny is that everyone was banging on the Pistons, and everyone was complaining about the Pistons, and the Wizards were like just slowly creeping down and down.
Yeah, like nine wins. So it was 9
wins and 51 losses. If you're on that team, you're just thinking,
no pressure.
God, just let me sit on the bench. I don't. Do you want to go out of that game? Do you want to go out of that game? No.
Actually, I say no pressure, but you're playing for your career, isn't it?
Well, you'd say that, but look at the other side of the coin. You got someone like the Celtics. They're 48-12, but they are absolute. They just won in a game this week, and they against Golden State, I think it was, and they absolutely destroyed them. And I mean, it was savage, and a lot of people were, well, I don't want to say surprised, but it was 140-88. 140-88. 58 points.
Oh, 100. Oh yeah, that's. I read that's Steph Curry's biggest ever loss.
Yeah. Do you know what his
as an NBA player?
Do you know what his
55-point loss or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, but do you know what stats he got in the game?
No.
I think it was like 9 points, and his shooting was like 2. It was like 3 from 11 or something like that. It was like the worst.
They're going to win the NBA playoffs, man.
You reckon?
You wait and see.
They're going to win on the basis of that.
Yeah, they're going to win it. You wait and see.
Why? Because he's got a bit of fire in him.
No, I don't know. I'm just saying it.
It was yeah. There we go. It was. He finished on 4 points. Two
4 points.
Steph finished on 4 points. Two from 13, and 0 from 9 3-pointers. 3 assists.
Wow.
And yeah, they lost by 52 points in the end. The whole game. You just think that is sad. 52-point loss.
Well, they got less than a quarter of the season to go, and they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, but you look at if you look at the Celtics at the top there, but when you look at the West, it's a little bit more like could be anyone really. But all I want to bring your attention to is, we've talked about Wemby. Where's Wemby's team?
Oh, God, I've been saying this from the start. Everyone's saying Wemby, Wemby, Wemby.
13 wins, 48 losses.
Yeah. But Jordan wasn't that dissimilar.
No, they didn't. They
started
in tough teams. I get that. But at the same time...
So let's see.
Look,
Time will tell.
All I would say is we've talked about LeBron. We've said how, phenomenal his career has been. And the thing that he did that Jordan didn't have was LeBron's had pressure from day one, and he's had the hype from day one. He was a high school player, and he's gone right through it. Wemby's had, not to say arguably but even more.
I've got a good argument for you. Is the BBL playoffs worth it? Because in the NBA, you've got the East, West, and the Conference. Sorry, the East and West Conference, and then in the playoffs, it's the best of the East getting together into the final, best of the West getting, and then they play each other. We don't really have a North v South in the BBL.
No.
So,
although they're doing that for the All-Star game.
You generally, I would say not just in the BBL, but English football, you look at the end of a season and league and see London Lions top with 3 losses, you go, they won the league, they're the best team. But now we're having this playoff thing where you can have a game 7 moment and bam, all of a sudden they've lost the playoffs. I don't know. It doesn't have the same feeling, the same as the NBA.
It doesn't. It doesn't for the football because there's no relegation, obviously. So the people who are at the top, that's fine, but the people at the bottom get penalised. There's none of that. But like in the NBA, they don't get penalised either. But they get better draft picks. So that's the one cherry on top, that if you're a Detroit or you're a Wizards or anyone like that, you get a good draft pick and you get,
Yeah, I know, but is it worth the playoffs in the BBL? See what I mean?
That's
because
what I mean. What do you get at the bottom?
If you had a North and South, like conference, and they're playing each other, then playing the North, you'd need more teams. Then it feels like you could have this North playoff, then South playoffs, then they come together. That kind of makes a bit more sense. But in the NBA, you're the champion when you win the playoffs. No one's turning around and going, oh, well done, you're the top of the league. I think there is a trophy for it. I think we discovered it. Wasn't it the guy who's the first commissioner of the NBA?
Yes, there is.
But it's not really, that's not sung about.
No,
you start getting, your banners when you win the conference, the divisions, and then the conference, and then the playoffs. Yeah, it's just an interesting comparison.
I've never actually considered it that way, but yeah, it's a good point, because you do get conference ones and stuff, and everyone talks about, like someone like Orlando, they've won quite a lot of their division and their conferences, but as soon as it gets to have you won the East or West?
Mark, I am not going to let you talk negative against the Orlando Magic.
No, they've won their little division.
Don't say little.
Well, it is.
Don't say little.
5 teams. But they've won that quite a few times. They've been successful there, but they just haven't been able to go over the next stage.
I just heard Orlando and successful. I appreciate your positivity.
But look,
right,
if you go and put that to the BBL and you say what they're going to do going forward,
it's something they've done historically, but generally you look at it and think, well, the English model is you win the league, you're the best team. In America, they have these conferences, and winning the league, no one really cares about, do they? It's you win the playoffs. That's the whole point. So part of me thinks, I don't know, see what I'm saying?
So if someone says London, so this is what my question is. We've got some games coming up next week. So here's my question. Does it matter what happens these next few weeks? Because if they're saying the London Lions have won the championship, but they haven't won the championship because we haven't had the playoffs yet.
Well, they've won the championship. The playoffs are something completely different. So
yeah,
for the BBL, we've split it into 2. You win the league, you win the championship season, and then you win the playoffs. So it's like you do your double there. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the playoffs. That's what I will say. Because you've got players that have just come into the BBL, like Teddy Allen, what an impact he's had.
And Cope, like we just said, from Caledonia, he made such a massive impact.
Yeah, Green.
And for Lions as well, is it David Nwabe? He's the new guy who came in because obviously London had a few injuries, and he's played really, I think it's 15, 16 points just in his last game. Like suddenly they've just got a player and you go, But there we go.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the playoffs. But
I just think that they're going to. It's going to be very interesting how they value what happens in this playoff. That's all I'm going to say. Because Giannis, was it last season? I believe they tumbled out spectacularly. The first round of the playoffs, and everyone was quoting Giannis, where the press were really getting on him. And he's like, sometimes you just fail, and you've just got to get on with it. Blah 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 blah. And he was famously like in this thing, and they were like, hang on.
Yeah, he was saying like,
but they
can't
won
win every year, can I?
But they won the division like clearly. Like Milwaukee absolutely stormed all the way through everything. But then as soon as it got to the playoffs, they crashed out the first round.
Yeah.
Maybe London will do that.
No, they're going to win the whole thing. They do double-double. Back-to-back champions, the London Lions.
Thank you very much for listening. Go back and check out our lovely selection of episodes we've got. We've got over 60,000 streams a month now. We're very excited by that. So thank you for continued listening. Keep listening because we've got loads more coming up. I have been Mark.
I have been Paul. I'm going to bed. Night.